Hey, it's Jack from Alphacharts with a subscriber weekend video. Today is December 29th, 2024. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. And I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. All right, thank you all for watching the video. And for my subscribers, thank you. I know this is the free view week, so we do have some people that will watch the video that are not subscribers yet. If you want to be a subscriber, it's super easy. You just go to my profile out at Alphacharts 365. And again, today is going to be the in-depth market report video with the extended watch list. But you're going to click subscribe right there. It's $10 a month. And it's month to month. There's no obligations. All right, I'm not gonna give a long speech on this, but you get all of this information. You go back, look at anything that had subscribe or the top of it was a subscriber only video. If you're a YouTube watcher, you would click the join and you get all the video content as well as annotated charts and some other stuff in the community tab, all on the YouTube side as well. Just click that join button, okay? But this is the subscriber video. So we're not going to talk about that very much. Let's get into the charts. All right, so SPY. We have this bar right here, last Wednesday. This was, I believe, Fed Day. And this bar is a very, very significant area for me. It needs to take out, when I say it, the price. Price needs to take out this high. Until that happens, I can't get into more of a beyond a at least a cautious stance in the market. That's just a super important area for me. And again, this subscription obviously is the way I'm looking at the market. Everyone does what they want to do, right? But I can't trade heavy. I can't do I want to take profits a little bit quicker until we get above that area. Okay. And we had a nice bounce back, and then Friday happened, and it gave a good chunk of that back, right? But we are holding the 50-day, and we do it now have on the low side this 590 was it 75 or so, low 590 77. This area right here now is again significant as well. It's below the 50-day. It's where the buyers showed up. So the question we have going forward is what's going to happen first? Do we take out this high first, or do we take out this low first? And everything in between right now for me, this high and this low, and really even more significantly, this low, is a cautious area. And you see this widening pattern as well. These widening patterns are significant because the direction of the break usually tends to be a very strong move. So this is what I'm watching for. And there's going to be times where we trade heavy, and there's going to be times where we don't trade heavy, right? And knowing the difference, I think is a huge factor in being profitable and not profitable in the markets. And when it's time to slow it down, take the foot off the gas, trade smaller, maybe not trade at all. It's holiday time, right? Spend some time with family, go fishing, whatever. Then that's the time it is. And I think we're in one of those times right now. And again, I don't know if it lasts another week, a month, a year. We don't know, obviously. My guess would be, it lasts a week or two, maybe longer. We don't know. Um, and then and then we'll get a directional move. But we got choppy. We're at the very least in a choppy market. And how do we know it's a choppy market? Well, this was the election day, and really price has barely moved since election day, right? It is up just a smidge, and we retested some of that area, right, on Friday. So really, you see this wide-ranging toppy market, almost like a head and shoulders top, right, on a very small scale. Again, so there's questions to be had in the market. And so trading small makes sense. And you can see the difference between S&P and RSP, which is the equal weighted. Again, I drew these in. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? I don't want anybody to think that this is like, a prediction. It's definitely not. It's a possibility. But this is a toppy look. Now, maybe it's a toppy look that's a consolidation into the next uptrend. And that is awesome. When it does start to trend higher, let's get involved. But while this is in a hard penny market, and again, I think RSP shows that it's a hard penny market, let's trade smaller, right? Let's trade less. Let's take profits a little bit quicker because the whipsaws will bleed you. right? And we don't want our accounts to bleed. So that's what I'm looking at. Looking at Qs a little bit stronger, but in general, similar enough. Again, mega caps are doing well. And again, we can see that versus the equal weights, which looks much different, right? Um, Equal weighted NASDAQ, again, looks much more like the RSP, and some of the other equal weighted names as well underneath the 50, and just looks toppy in general. Doesn't mean it's going to top, but definitely a cautious look to it. Mid caps look exactly the same. Small caps look exactly the same. Financials, they're underneath the 50-day. Semiconductors, they're right at the 50-day. Equal weighted looks the best chart out here, right? But equal weights looks okay in the semiconductors. Transports looking very weak. Equal weight transports looking very weak. Housing looking very weak. And XHB, the other housing ETF, looking very weak. So again, we're seeing weakness in here. Doesn't mean that we're crashing, tomorrow, but it just means that the market is at the best choppy, right? And so why trade a choppy market if we don't have to? That's I guess that's my or if we're gonna trade it, do it very small, very, very small, quarter positions, handful of shares, whatever, something small. If you need to, listen, some people need to trade. I get it. We're all there sometimes, right? Where we just want to like, oh, I want to put a trade on. If that's the case and it looks good and it fits your criteria, just do it very, very small. If you want to participate, that's my thinking at least. And I do have a few little positions on, and they're small. They're small. I'm still like 90+% cash. And we talked about that now for at least a week now. Because things were just not looking right. All right, going to the dashboard. By the way, I always like to do the itinerary. We're gonna do market overviews. We just did that. We're going to the internals. Then we're gonna go into the extended watch list, and then my conclusion at the end. All right. You see that we got kind of cautious here, maybe a little bearish, maybe a little bit too soon on the bearishness right there. But or at least I wouldn't even say bearishness, but this was basically a very high level cash, right? That's I don't really short that much. Um, I may try on a triple leverage ETF for a short period of time, but that's the max of my shorting, very small. Went back to a little bit more of a cautious stance once we retook some of these moving averages. But we did make a lower high on here, so I'm still very cautious, and we've been cautious really since December 12th. That's when we kind of did the switcheroo from a more greenish you know, um, bullish look, which was all in here, right? And then we got cautious right around here. So we got that going for us, right? Um, and now we're still in a cautious level. You see first off, there's still a power trend. We're still in a stage two uptrend. And now we have new lows and new highs really battling out pretty much close to that zero level. And I think, once we see new lows starting to outpace, and we kind of have been for a little bit now, new highs, it's just another negative marker on the market, right? We want to see new highs outpacing new lows. That's it, right? That's important to us. We're seeing percent stocks above the 50-day, still extremely low at 35%. We don't love that. And again, DeepView has their own cycle work, and they are still in a negative cycle. And we got negative a little bit ahead of them, or at least cautious a little bit ahead of the cycle work. Got all the way negative about the same on the same day, basically. And we probably should until we take out this top. At the very least, I'm cautious, if not on the slightly on the negative side on the market. Looking at our other one, let's just go to SPY here. All right, let's talk about this on the daily. There we go. And you can see, I'm sorry, I should have had this part already done out. There we go. Looks much better. Um, Right. So again, same cycle work. This goes back a little bit further. But you see how this is a momentum, this is a McClellan oscillator, is still negative, right? Never really turned green. And so that's a problem. And this is our short-term FOMO indicator. And, it got overdone to the downside, which is where we got this rally from, and it went all the way to overdone on the top side. So that's very quick and very whippy. And now one day, and it dropped it all the way to 37%. And so, this is just shows a very whippy market, right? Like in here, if you see, it went higher, right? Went from overdone to overdone higher, and then we continue to go higher. Even though this did diverge a little bit, it still did not go straight down, right? And so again, we're seeing this whippiness in the market here, and that's just another cautious look, right? So let's keep going. Let's go to the VIX. So in the VIX, the VIX is at 16. Not terrible, but not great, right? Credit spreads reasonably tight. So again, I don't think there's systemic risk. At least it's not showing up in credit yet. Percent of stocks above the 50-day in the NYSE. The other one was, I believe, all US stocks. This is NYSE. It's in the same spot though, around 35%. So not at an extreme level. I think under 10% is extreme, but still not very good as far as breadth goes. Put call ratio is a measurement of sentiment, and it's again not extreme. I have these are my areas, and I demarcated them with these orange lines. And again, I don't think we're at extreme, at least not yet. We'll see if that continues, and if that can, the whippy markets, are very hard to trade, and I guess sentiment it keeps going back and forth, right? What else do we have? Let's go to the dollar. I think the dollar is the key. So here's the dollar. Let's go to the weekly chart. We've talked about this now for a while. Um, so we had in 2022 a big run up in the dollar, and then you see at the end of 2022 the dollar backed off and basically has been in a range ever since 2022. Super big range, right? I could even probably take this back like that, and you could see the range probably a little bit better there, right? And boom, you have this breakout right over here. Again, you could probably move my something like this, maybe, whatever. But there's your breakout right there. You can see it. And so if dollar is moving higher and maybe it gets back up to 114-ish, maybe it gets all the way to 120. We don't know. But if we do have this type of look, right? It's not even this type of look. Like this and this kind of match up. And if that's the case, and we're going to be into this look for 2025, it's going to be a hard penny market. So this is just kind of like my one of the ideas going into 2025, meaning we need to really consider about taking profits a little bit sooner. If it's a choppy year, hard to trade year, if it's got a lot of back and forths in it, we really need to consider about that. And that doesn't mean, changing our entire trading style, but it does mean, maybe taking partials at the very least, maybe at 5% or whatever you choose, just to lock in gains and maybe put a stop. If you take a 5% gain, put a stop at break even, it guarantees you a profitable trade. And it may be, singles, 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 singles. You may not hit those home run names as easily next year as we did this year. And we hit a bunch of home run names, and it was really great and it was awesome. Next year may not be the same. So again, I hope it is. If it is awesome, we're going to be amazing. We'll do amazing. But if it's not, we have to plan for that as well. And I'm planning on hitting a lot of singles next year and protecting my equity if we see this big move in the dollar. And the 10-year yield also is in at I think an inflection point too. You see how, getting up to this 5% or so, 5.2%. Again, we're still on the weekly chart here. Could be in the cards. It got up to 5 in the past. Again, when did it go higher? Here's 2022 right in here. And look at this giant move week after week higher in the 10-year yield, right? 2022. Starting, here's December 21, here's January. Boom. And it literally went straight up. We had a little reprieve right here over the summer, and it finished up in October. And then things got better after that in 2022, if you remember. So things got way better after that. And so, yeah, if we have another move like this, right, or even like this, higher and we get to 5.2 or even higher than 5.2, don't think that's out of the question. But if we get there, that is going to make it for a much harder trading environment as well. So those are two things to watch. Again, I'm not predicting. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I want to know where the danger is. And I think that is the biggest danger right now is the US dollar, number one. And then 10-year yields, I think, is in second place. But they're both important, to me. All right, so that is kind of like the pitfalls as we get ready and gear up for 2025. Let's go into some names that are acting well. So this is the watch list. Now, I'm a big proponent of staying in the right universe of names, right? And I think the right universe of names, if we can do that, if we can find the right universe of names, then our chances of making money in the market goes up exponentially. That's very, very important to me. So that's what I'm trying to do here with our extended watch list. Of course, I put out a focus list video later that gives me my handful of favorite names, right? But this is idea generation because even though I may not love or think it's the best name on the list going into next week, you may. It may be the right name for you. And that's awesome. Picking out your trades and being calm, confident traders is one of the big goals of this, right? It's not about me. It's not about how I'm trading. It's really about your trading. It's your equity curve. That's what's so important. So this is idea generation for everybody, right? You pick out the names you love and you make the trade your own. You manage your risk. I'm here just to kind of go through and talk through what I'm seeing in the market, and that is the educational piece on this. One of the big parts is just that I'm talking through it, and again, you may agree with me, you may disagree with me. And that's awesome, right? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have an opinion, and then we get to see what the market does, and we know at that point if the market agreed with us or not. Okay, so let's get into these names. Again, this is idea generation. If you love it, awesome. If you hate them, pass. That's it. All right, let's get going. App's been on this list forever. This is where the original trade that we talked about was back in, I believe, in this area. Actually, 730 was where are we at? We were actually in here, right? And it's gone up pretty significantly since then. Is it extended? Yeah, I guess it is, but is it just consolidating right now? Right now, it's just consolidating. It hasn't done anything wrong yet. I'm not looking to enter it here. Um, if I put a VWAP at this high, you can see how it's having a hard time taking out. Listen, you love this name, it retakes this VWAP. Let's call it 344. Yeah, we can manage risk there, right? That's a place where we can manage risk in a name like AppLovin and get in. So has a kind of a VWAP pinch, from this VWAP and the VWAP from the high. So gap VWAP, highs VWAP. There's your pinch. The direction of the break, I think is would be very important. All right, I'm going to try to go through these a little bit faster. Again, it's about idea generation more than it is about specific names. Palantir, I mean, holding up well. We've talked about that one, and I hope some of you are still in it. We've talked about this one, how many times? Like a billion times, right? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about this one like at least four times. But it's doing very, very well. But look, a little distribution, a little distribution, a little distribution. Some accumulation here. And so we're starting to see a little bit of distribution in a name like this. I consider Palantir a potential leader in this market, and this is one that if it does reset, would give us a great opportunity eventually to get in it if we're not already. Ionic, again, beautiful uptrend, looks really, really good. Again, we talked about it just on 12:15 as it was coming out of here. Um, right there. Hopefully, some of you are still in that one. Mirror, it's holding up really well in general. If it breaks, the 1736, I'll take it off the list. But right now, again, it's just in trend from this breakout, right? This is the breakout that we were watching. It's in trend. Twilio, again, in trend, did very, very well. We saw multiple places get involved in it. And now, again, it looks a little bit different. Why? It's hitting the 23 day. It hasn't hit the 23 day in the whole uptrend. Now it is. That makes me a little bit cautious. Dutch Brothers tried to break out, couldn't. Again, things that make me cautious. So I still think these are the best names out there. And I think also that this is why I'm in this cautious stance. So one of the things that we really can't quantify is great names acting well, and or good names, or the leaders, or whatever you want to call it, acting well. And so right now we're seeing a lot of these names that were leaders or have been leading with some question marks in them. Not really great bases. They have flaws. They have dark clouds over them. And because of that, I think it should make us cautious. That is part of why we go through these lists as well, and we do our scans and everything else because we see the way individual names are acting. Again, it's not quantifiable. At least I don't know how to quantify it, but you know it when you see it. Snow. This one is probably coming off the list. I'm actually going to mark it to come off the list. I'm actually going to take more off the list too, I think. Um, AS, again, trending higher, looks good. DXYZ, if you're into it, great, it did very well. I'd probably just be cautious with this name. It's going to move very, very quick in both directions on you. But if you were able to make some money off of this $43 entry, congrats. That was awesome. CRDO, just kind of sideways consolidation. Again, not doing anything wrong, but hasn't really gone yet. Marvel. This was I think was this pick of the week last? No, it wasn't pick of the week, but it was on the focus list last week. I had a position. I did get out of that position as it lost VWAP. I didn't want to be in it at that point. But yeah, pretty much a break-even scratch trade for me, or pretty close to it. Um, DocuSign, still waiting for it to retake that VWAP. Uh, Novocure. Again, big gap up, holding up nicely, letting the moving averages catch up. I don't think it's quite ready yet. I could be wrong, but looks good. Confluent. This is again a big weekly pattern. I'd like to see it break out of above this $38, $39 area, right? Somewhere in here. And that's a place I'd like to get involved in it. It's just not ready for me yet. Again, that's off the weekly. Here's real, nice gigantic move on what Thursday, and not much give back. Again, it's been a good mover. Yeah, I haven't been involved in this particular one, but nice consolidation that we talked about, and it did break out of that, and just let it trend, right? Rigetti. So if you're in this one, and again, great name. I mean, just unbelievable name. Uh, to me, this candle from Friday makes me a little bit cautious. Again, you see how the buyers and sellers were coming into parity here. It closed below VWAP. I'd be a little cautious in this name. Not that I think that, no idea if it's crashing or not, and it's got the beautiful breakout. It never did what I wanted it to do, which was come back in a little bit and then go. But that being said, if we can come back and retest $12 or so, I think this is a name that has a lot of potential, and that's where my risk reward would be. Now, listen, it was up 81% last week. So coming back in to $12 is, a 30% move in, totally within character of this particular name. So I look for that, maybe a tag in the 9 day, right? It's done that quite a few times along the way, and now it's crazy extended, right? So if you got in this name early on in any of these areas, congrats. There's one back in here too, again at 345-ish or so. Congrats, but I don't think this is the right time to enter now. It's just too extended. CN, this is a name that never triggered. So we gave this out on the 26th, and it just never triggered, never got to $89. And so that happens sometimes, right? And thank God it happened because it came back in some. Doesn't mean the trade's dead. This is actually still a very actionable trade if it does get above $89. But right now it has not triggered at this point. ACHR, again, another one that looks like it needs to come back in some. It just got a little too far ahead of itself. RCAT, same thing. Down 8.5% day, just still extended. Qubits, same thing. So all these names look to me a little bit on the extended side. We don't know what they are, but it's just not a good reward to risk at this point, unless you're playing smaller and a very short, maybe a shorter time frame. SMTC was another one that never triggered, never got above 66 and a quarter. What was the high there? It says 66.5, but mine, it never triggered for me. So, and maybe I put the did I, you know what? I may have put it in after for Friday. Either way, it never triggered. I don't remember the exact day that I put this trade. It may have been after hours on the 26th, which makes sense. Um, and so again, if it triggers, great. If it doesn't trigger, then even better, right? We protected our accounts. Clavio, this is my longer term weekly hold names. Um, again, well above the 50-day, looking very, very good. Qubit, uh, kind of try to break out and couldn't. Again, just super extended still. Give it a little bit of time, I think. Teva, very strong name. Hasn't come back yet, but again, if it could base out, that's a possibility. Doximity, one of the better looking charts out there. You have a higher low right here, right? Let's get rid of that because that doesn't matter. You have this general area right here as support, right? Something like that, and you have a little flag. So I think Doximity is one of the better looking charts out there going into next week. We'll see if that continues or not, but I like that one. AAOI, semiconductor name. We did really good with one back in here, and now it's just kind of gone sideways. Maybe some sort of little cup and handle, but I do see a lower high here, which makes me, again, a little bit more cautious. Decent accumulation showing up in the chart down here. So yeah, I want to see what happens with this one, right? If it can break out above this high, that would be really, really important. We kind of have this kind of like that trend line going on there, right? So, but I want to see it prove itself. I got to see it prove itself. Grab. We did awesome with this name. Coming, remember the VCP? These were the notes back there. VCP. We were all over the breakout. We played it all the way into this. We talked about this 565 or so being being potential risk, right? And we said the larger we could be getting back up into this range. It never did, but this could just be one big base that it's creating. So you know, we are just kind of watching it at this point. It is on the 50-day. If it loses the 50-day, then it's off my charts. I'll take it off the list. Sana, let's just keep going. We're on what 28. Asana, huge up, coming back down. Now it needs to settle out. We'll keep watching it. Inod, same thing. Try to move here. Couldn't, got pushed back in. And we have this general area right there. If it can break out above this 40, we'll call it $49. I think we could be involved in this name. If it doesn't, then no reason to be involved. Tiger, Up FinTech, right? This used to be an amazing. I mean, this was awesome to trade in 2021. You see, in 2020, 2021, and then in 2021, 2022, it really topped out. And now, is it making its new kind of basey area? Well, maybe, right? We had this beautiful move higher here, 26%, and there's my VWAP. And now if it can retake $7.40, that's a place we can get involved in. If it doesn't, then there's no reason to be involved in it. So we're just watching. Bloom Energy, I think this one comes off the list. This trend line is important, right? One touch, two touch, three touch, four touch. And now we're below VWAP again, and just looks a little choppy. Maybe needs more time. We'll see. I'm taking off. Roblox. That's another one that looks pretty good coming into this week. So that's not bad at all, right? Roblox. Um, I like how it kind of consolidated here. You got the trend line. You got a decent reward to risk showing up here. So I like that. Nice liquid name above VWAP from this gap right there. Love how see how it retook the VWAP. That would have been a great entry right there as well. But yeah, so Roblox looks good. Nvidia's got to stay on here for now. Even though it's below the 50-day, a lot of question marks. I think it's good just to watch Nvidia, if nothing else, right? As a bellwether. So we got to have that one on here. Whereas ALAB is a beast and has been trending higher. And we talked about it, back in November, and we talked about it in December about getting in positions. And hopefully many of you did. I know I took a position. I don't have one right now, but I was in this one, and made some nice change on it, right? Made some good money on it. Hopefully y'all did as well, and hopefully some of you are still in it. Um, I probably got out too quickly. But that's why it's always about you, not about me. But anyway, it looks great. A little extended, right? It needs to come back. So I don't think it's a setup, but it's one of the leaders for sure. Microsoft. Um, yeah, it's retesting the 50-day, and there's your VWAP from the high. And 425 is a big deal. Let's see if it holds 425 or not. That's right where the 200-day moving average is as well. So there's a lot going on here in Microsoft. And then you have an uptrend line coming, from this low and these higher lows again. So that's important. So I'm watching all these things for Microsoft. Again, it's one of the bellwethers, just like Google, and I actually have a position in Google right now. Off of this entry right here. Again, looks great, 194 and a quarter. So it's about a break even right now for me. But that's fine. It's Google. It's gonna be either, it's a very, I want to say safe trade, but it's a big moving ship. It's gonna be hard for them to move this one significantly, down or up. You see, there's a 3.5% day. There's, 0.5%, 1.5%. That's its normal range. So it's gonna be a tighter, easier to trade this name in a choppy market. Soundhound, again, still extended, but love this. Look at this weekly chart. Again, looks absolutely great on the weekly. Would love to see it retest 18 or so, maybe 19, and then potentially move higher. But again, looks really, really good. Rubric, another one that looks really solid, holding up extremely well. I like that one quite a bit, actually. RBRK. Again, I'm gonna play. If I play this one, it's gonna be smaller. There is one thing I don't like about it is that on this big gap up day, it did close below VWAP. I don't love that, but it's holding up well, and so we'll just keep watching it. And this VWAP was very nice and did hold as well. So let's keep going. Rocket Lab, solid looking chart as well. Just maybe a little ahead of itself, right? It kind of broke out, came back in. Maybe just needs to chop around here a little bit more. Lunar, again, just well extended. We talked about this one, back here in 10, 11. We talked about it other times as well. So hopefully, some of you got pieces of this one. If you're selling this one from this 760 buy point, you did very well, right? You did very, very well. SoFi, another one that looks, overall really good, holding up well as it's kind of making higher highs and higher lows. Again, a little bit of volatility from Fed Day showing up here. And so let's see if it can retake the high there. But overall, again, holding up better than most. Robinhood, same thing. It's looks really good. Just again, a little bit wider and looser in here. So, I'm watching it. I own it in the weekly trade, so a longer term versus the 50-day. I'll go over those stocks in a second, right at the end. But overall, looks good. Rumble, again, giant move higher here, 81%. Didn't give much back. Then did another 27, dropped 6. Again, look how extended it is. Obviously, it's got to be on our watch list at this point, but not ready for an entry. Reddit looks a little bit better. Again, we talked about it, getting back at the beginning of December in this name. We had a couple opportunities. I believe it was off of this right here, this consolidation. We talked about it. And so it's done okay. Maybe it's ready to go again versus this little kind of trend lines consolidation. It's up to you whether you think the breakout is legit or not at this point. Oklo, we talked about needing to chop around here, and it's just chopped around more than we thought. It is making low, lower low, lower low, high, lower high, lower high. So it's above the 50-day. Moving averages are bunched up, so that's why it's on the list. As far as staying on the list, it's got to hold above $20.61. This VWAP from here. Below that, it just comes off the list. SMR, another one that, again, on the weekly, we talked about this one back, when it was obviously in this range, right? This is what we want to be buying, and we don't want to be owning it in this area right there. Um, but I like it if it could get back and retest this 1650 area, right? Um, let's look at that, right? If it comes back and retests and holds this general area right there, this could be, and then starts to come back around, right? We don't want to just buy blindly down here. We want to then retest and then hold and then start to move higher again. And that's where we want to get involved. So this is a patience one, but I do want to hold on to it because I think it's got a lot of potential if it can hold that area. And last one is Miss Tesla, Mr. Tesla, Miss Tesla, whatever you want to call it. Um, we talked about it back on 11/21 about getting in around 348. If you got in and are holding it still, you've done extremely well. Congratulations. Um, and it broke out. Would love to see a retest of 405. That's what I'd like to see to get back involved and have a nice risk reward. Hold a 405, maybe 407, and then maybe retake VWAP. And on the retake of the VWAP from this high, that's when I'd want to get involved in this name. I think Tesla's one of the future leaders. Has been a leader. Um, was kind of a no trade for me for at least a year, and now I think it's back into a leadership role again. Now the trick is getting that good entry. All right. So those are the 47 names. I'm deleting these three off the list, so we're down to 44 names. And now let's go into my weekly hold list. These are ones that I'm using the 50-day moving average as a stop. And you have IGV. Again, it's just a general software ETF. So it's touched it, but has not closed below the 50-day on a weekly closing basis. So I'm still in this particular name. And so it's in a profitable position. Same thing for Hack, using the 50-day, and it's just chopping. It's a choppy name, but it's trending higher. And the goal for this is to hold longer, right? It's for a longer term hold. P-Core, hit into this resistance. I'd like to see this, break out. The whole idea of this one, this was the note from 11/17 when we got in. The whole idea is for this to you know, make a higher low right roughly here, and then eventually break out and start to move higher. So now if it doesn't, and we gave some back, that's just the way this particular strategy works. It's still in a profitable position, and we're gonna let this, it has not closed below the 50-day yet. Clavio, same thing. Again, there's the it's 38.55 is where the 50-day is, well above it, so it looks good. Robinhood, just maybe a slightly underwater trade. It's a newer trade for us. So it's working its way up. We'll see if it can continue. Again, still looks pretty good. I'm not worried about it yet. Toast has been a really good trade for us. We talked about getting in, back in 10.6. It was one of our first ones, around $29. It come back, it tested the 50-day. I'd like to see this retake VWAP. Again, it did, we don't know if it's going to make it all the way up to $60 or $70. But the goal is to stay in this longer term. So you have to give something back if your time frame is longer term. DoorDash is another one. It did not close below the 50-day on a weekly closing basis, as you can see there. And so I am still in this name as well. This one's a little bit underwater. Where did I get in here? I forgot. I could look it up. It's a little bit underwater, this one, and it may close underwater, and that's the way it goes. Not every trade works, right? And OnCloud held the 50-day, and then again, still going lower, even though a little trending. I'd like to see it hold and maybe turn it around. If not, I believe this is in a slightly positive trade as well. So we'll let them go and see what happens, right? It's very simple. 50-day, buy the best names you can find that are good reward to risk, and let them go. All right. So let's go ahead and close up this video. And you know, we're in the type of market, at least for now, I think trading smaller. So when I put out my watch list video in a few minutes, I think trading smaller makes sense. High cash levels make sense. I think there's a time where you really don't want to be over trading. Less is more on this time frame right now. Do I know if that's going to last all of 2025? Yeah, probably not. I think 2025 is going to have good parts and bad parts. But again, I'm prepared for a choppy 2025, at least first half. Again, we don't know if what the second half will be. We don't even know what next week will be. But I'm prepared for a choppy first quarter, first half of 2025. There'll be good parts and bad parts, and I'm planning on taking profits a little bit faster going into it. Again, staying in the right universe of stocks, that's an edge. Buying things that are in uptrends, that's an edge. Staying in the right sectors of the market, that's an edge. Knowing the type of market we're in, that's an edge. Trading, taking profits quicker if it's a choppy market, that's the result, right? So all those edges create that result that we want, and our result is to make money in the market. That's why we're doing this, to make money in the market, and that's what, again, I hope that these videos and this whole subscription service is helping you do. That is my goal, to help everyone make money in the market, because the pie is big enough for all of us to succeed. So that's what I believe. Again, hope this is helping you, and y'all have a great day. I'll have that focus list video out in a little bit. And yeah, thanks a lot. Have a great day. Bye bye.